Have you ever wondered why a single comment from a stranger can ruin your entire day? Why do you scroll through social media feeling like everyone else has figured out life while you're still pretending to have it together? Maybe you're exhausted from wearing different masks, one for your parents, another for your friends, and yet another for social media, until you've completely lost track of who you actually are underneath all these performances. Here's the truth that no one wants to tell you. As long as you're trying to control how others see you, you'll remain a prisoner to their opinions. As long as you're desperately seeking approval, every rejection will feel like a death sentence. But what if I told you that Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, discovered why we're so easily shaken by others, and more importantly, how to break free from this psychological prison forever? You see, the problem isn't that people have power over you. The problem is that you've given them that power without even realizing it. And today, we're going to change that. You believe that what hurts you comes from out there. The mean comment, the rejection, the betrayal, the abandonment. But here's the brutal truth Jung discovered. None of these things actually have the power to destroy you, unless there's already a wound inside you waiting to be triggered. What really hurts isn't what others do to you. It's what these experiences activate within you. The story you tell yourself, the old trauma that's never been addressed, the emptiness you've been trying to fill with other people's validation. Jung showed us something revolutionary. The pain we feel from the external world is just a reflection of what hasn't been integrated in our internal world. That's why some people can face devastating criticism and remain centered, while others fall apart from a single disapproving look. It's not about what happens, it's about where it hits you. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. You suffer so much because you still believe you can control how the world treats you. You're still trying to be good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, successful enough, as if being perfect will guarantee that no one will hurt you. But control is an illusion, and the more you chase it, the more you live in constant anxiety, trying to predict the unpredictable and avoid the inevitable. The moment you realize that your emotional state doesn't depend on other people's behavior is the moment your real freedom begins. But there's something deeper happening here, something Jung called the unconscious, and this is where the real battle for your emotional independence takes place. The biggest lie you've been told is that you're in control of your emotions. Wake up, because you're not. At least not while you're living on autopilot, reacting without understanding why, feeling overwhelmed without knowing where it comes from. Jung said it perfectly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. The anger that explodes from nowhere, the sadness that crashes over you without explanation, the anxiety that grips you when everything seems fine. None of this is random. These are messages from parts of yourself that have been forgotten, ignored, pushed down into the shadows. You wonder why certain words destroy you while they bounce off other people, because those words are hitting psychological wounds that are still bleeding inside you. Think about it. When someone calls you stupid and you don't react, it's because you don't believe you're stupid. But when they hit on something you secretly fear about yourself, that you're not good enough, not lovable, not worthy, that's when you crumble. The external trigger only has power because it's connecting with an internal wound you've never properly addressed. Jung understood that we can't change anything until we accept it. You've been trying to fix yourself by hiding from yourself, judging yourself, silencing the parts of you that feel weak or needy or afraid. But the unconscious doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It finds other ways to control you. Through the toxic relationships you keep choosing, the self-sabotage patterns you can't break, the fears that surface just when life starts going well. This isn't bad luck. It's your unconscious trying to wake you up. But you keep hitting the snooze button, and that's exactly why you remain so affected by everything and everyone around you, because you're fighting a war on the wrong battlefield. But here's where everything changes, and this is what Jung discovered about real emotional strength. Most people think the only way to stop getting hurt is to build walls, create armor, and pretend nothing affects them. They say, "I don't care anymore," while bleeding inside, because they confuse numbness with strength. But Jung knew better. He said, "Know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when touching a human soul, be just another human soul. The soul you're trying to hide behind your tough, controlled exterior is screaming to be seen." True emotional strength isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about integration. It's about bringing everything you've buried in the darkness into the light of your conscious awareness. You don't become unshakable by creating barriers between yourself and the world. You become unshakable when you realize that no one can touch what you've already fully embraced within yourself. When you integrate your shadows, your fears, your flaws, your insecurities, your shame, you stop reacting to everything. Instead, you observe. You choose. You respond from a place of wholeness rather than wounds. Jung called this process individuation, not becoming perfect, but becoming complete, not eliminating your darkness, but making friends with it. Here's the secret they never told you. The more you run from your pain, the more it controls you. The more you try not to be affected, the more fragile you become. But when you turn toward your wounds with curiosity instead of judgment, when you accept yourself completely, the beautiful and the ugly, the noble and the shameful, nothing outside can dismantle you anymore. But this transformation requires you to completely change your relationship with suffering itself, and this is where most people turn back. You learn to hate pain. From childhood, you were taught that suffering means weakness, that crying is pointless, that feeling too much makes you vulnerable. So you started running, avoiding, denying, numbing. But here's what nobody told you. Ignored pain doesn't disappear. It just goes underground and starts controlling your life from the shadows. Jung saw suffering differently. He understood that pain is the messenger of the soul, the alarm clock of the unconscious. He famously said, "Depression is like a lady in black. When she appears, don't chase her away. Invite her to sit down, offer her tea, and listen to what she has to say. But instead of listening, you've been slamming doors, turning up music, staying busy, doing anything to avoid hearing what your pain is trying to tell you." The truth is, suffering hurts so much because you're at war with yourself. There's a part of you that wants to grow, to change, to become who you really are, and another part that's terrified of letting go of who you think you should be. Your ego, desperate to maintain control, fights against your soul's call for transformation. And it's in this internal battle that your deepest pain is born. But what if I told you that this pain is sacred? What if the breakdown you're trying so hard to avoid is actually the breakthrough you've been waiting for? When everything you've built to protect yourself crumbles, when your carefully constructed identity falls apart, when you're stripped of all your defenses, that's when you can finally see who you really are underneath all the performance. Jung knew that suffering isn't a mistake in the system. It's part of the process. Pain isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your real journey toward freedom. The question isn't how to avoid suffering, but how to let it transform you instead of destroy you. And this brings us to the final truth about becoming truly unshakable. It's not about building stronger armor, it's about developing unshakable awareness. Now that you've come this far, here's what you need to understand. Nothing will protect you from life's challenges if you remain unconscious of what's happening within you. The words will still sting, the rejections will still hurt, the losses will still knock you down until you wake up. An awakening isn't a magical event that happens to you, it's a daily choice you make. It's choosing to look within even when it's uncomfortable. It's taking full responsibility for everything you feel without blaming others, the past, or circumstances anymore. Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." You've spent years resisting your fear of not being enough, your terror of rejection, your shame about not having it all figured out. But resistance only makes these feelings stronger. True emotional immunity isn't hardness, it's clarity. It's not about building armor, it's about expanding your awareness. When you understand your triggers, your patterns, your wounds, other people's actions lose their power to devastate you. You still feel, but you don't drown. You still hurt, but you don't lose yourself in the pain. What protects you isn't defending yourself from life. It's diving fully into it. Those who live on the surface get hurt by every wave. Those who learn to dive deep discover that below the surface chaos, there's profound stillness, stability, and unshakable strength. And that's where you're headed. When you start living from this place of integration and awareness, the world may still try to shake you, but it no longer finds anywhere to grip. You've become like water. Flexible enough to flow around obstacles, deep enough that surface storms can't disturb your depths, and powerful enough to reshape whatever tries to contain you. The journey to becoming someone who can't be shaken by others isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming so completely yourself that no external validation or rejection can change your fundamental sense of who you are. And that, according to Jung, is the ultimate freedom. The liberation that comes not from controlling the world around you, but from fully knowing and accepting the world within you.